Right, do the pose and then we'll cut it in.
Is it still recording?
Yep.
It's not stopped.
Shut up. Today we're learning about recursive algorithms. One example of a recursive algorithm is the factorial. A factorial is a multiplication of every number and the numbers less than that number until it reaches 1. 3 factorial is 3 times 2 times 1. 4 factorial is 4 times 2 times 1 times 3. If you're a normal human being. There we go.
For God's sake! Every time! You turn it off.
No, you don't need to.
Move that way.
No, it's in the right position.
Oh, okay. You want me to what? Just rub it off.
Pretty much.
You ready?
Why don't you fuck off?
Yes, whenever you're ready. Put it.
Wiggler. Today we're learning about recursion. An example of a recursive algorithm is 3 factorial, or the factorial. The factorial is the multiplication of every number equal to or less than n. So 3 factorial is 3 times 2 times 1, which is 6. By definition, recursive algorithms are algorithms that call functions repeatedly. So a subroutine in a pseudocode must call itself, bring it back to the top, and run through again. This will happen infinitely unless these 3 things are true. It must always have a base case, which is a condition that allows the recursion to stop. For example, with the factorial, we know to stop when we get to 1, because we don't want to times it by 0. It needs to have any other input, which must call itself. So that would be the multiplication. We're repeatedly multiplying as the numbers get lower. And it must be reached after a finite number of iterations. It can't go on forever. Just like the recursion, it stops when it gets to 1.
You haven't gone to the next thing.
Yeah.
Look at the screen.
Yeah, we changed it.
No, Jack froze it.
You fucking bastard. What are you doing?
You can have that.
I've got to record it. It's the second collision we had. The recursive functions are functions that call themselves. So that means that if you have a subroutine, the subroutine must be called inside to go back to the start, to go through the subroutine again. This will happen infinitely unless you have these 3 things. You need a base case or an exit condition. This tells the thing when to stop going recursive.
We are currently experiencing some technical issues. We will resume after an interval.
Fuck!
Back to this position. Back to this position. Back to this position. Look, we got a cup.
Don't start again.
Yeah, Jason, when you talk about factorial, it's all lower and including.
Yeah, obviously.
You didn't say and
And it's
including.
really shit.
Pretty
You
given.
can't.
Can you fuck off?
Yeah.
You're not doing
Okay.
anything.
Let me just look this.
So we know which one to use. What are you doing?
Just keep
This is factorial. You can write a factorial as n factorial equals n times by n minus 1 factorial, because you're just timesing it by the next number along. The base case is call until n equals 1, because when we know n equals 1, we're going to be timesing by 1, which is the end. Stack overflow is an error that's specific to when you don't have a base case. Well, not always when you don't have a base case, but it's when your computer runs out of memory, effectively, because you've just made it go on forever and it's just gone. Okay. Okay. You can still get a Stack Overflow error if you compute a large number. So 1,000 factorial, you know, your memory isn't, you're not going to have enough memory to hold 1,000 factorial. It's a big number. How does it work? Each time a function is called, it's added to the stack. So you have the function, and then it becomes f of 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 x. But it's just obvious that you'll be using the inside one first. You'll do that one, then you do that one, then you do that one, then you do that one, and then that one. So it's a stack. You come all the way out, and then all the way back in.
How? Switch them. Switch.
But it's such a big algorithm, right? We're going to start halfway through.
Okay, next up we have our tree traversal. Okay, so next topic we have tree traversal. There are three forms of tree traversing. There is pre-order, post-order, and in-order. As you can see illustrated over here as the tree, a tree is made up of the root, which is found at the top, and it then branches off. We'll now go into detail about the different traversals that you have. So here, as shown, we have the first type, which, as you can see, it's a recursive algorithm, which means it calls itself. It will loop through until it chooses, for example, this one here is pre-order, which means the original node or the root comes first, followed by the left, then the right. Other than that, we also have two other types of traversing.
By moving this root node in different positions, you have a different way of searching the tree. Next.
We're working with a jackass.
Cannot get out throwing this thing around.
When do we start? Whenever you want. All right. Today we're talking about we're talking. Today we're learning about recursion. An example of a recursive algorithm is the factorial. The factorial is the multiplication of every number less than that number and including itself until it reaches 1. 3 factorial includes 3, 2, and 1, but it's not 0 because we've got to reach 1. 1 is the number we've got to reach. We keep going until we get to 1. You start from the number you're on, you get to what? What do you get to?
1.
1, exactly, that's what we want. Good.
One big video.
No, listen, we're gonna leave it as a
Speed
big
up.
video. But as in,
Do another
yeah.
Hello there.
There are 3 things you need to have a recursive algorithm. One, you need a base case because you can't be recursive without one. That means it has to stop in a finite number of steps. Otherwise, the base case won't be met. It also needs to call itself for this to be true. You fuck off.
Wow, now we have to restart.
Just leave it.
So, recursive algorithms require 3 things that you're not
I can't do fucking all of it. Oh, I'll just do fucking.
You've gone from doing nothing to all.
I don't care. I'll just do fucking all of it.
Whenever you're ready.
Right. Restart the recording, please.
What's the why? What's the why?
I want to go home. Hurry.
Right, recursive algorithms. To be a recursive algorithm, it has to meet 3 cases.
You must have a base case, which the point at which, if this condition is true, the algorithm will stop recursing and move back up the call stack. This must be reached in a finite number of steps, or else you're going to hit Stack Overflow and the program will crash. Of course, to recurse, it has to call itself in any case that isn't the base case.
So, an example of a recursive algorithm is pre, in, and post order. To do this, you first of all need a tree. To draw a tree, all you start is you start furthest on the left and you draw that at the top. That is what's known as our root. From that, we then go to the next number and we say, is it greater than or less than the previous number? Since this is greater than, you then go to the right. We then keep going across, so 5 is less than 12. And you keep repeating this until all of the numbers that you've got have then been drawn onto your tree. We then move on to pre, post, and in order. For pre-order, all you do is you take the root first, followed by the left, then the right. So for this one, for example, you would start with 12, then you move on to 5, and then you would take 8 because there is nothing left. Then you would go back up to the top. You would then start on the right-hand side. So you've got 34. You would then take the left, which is 20, and then the right, which is 67. After that, you've then got in order, which all you have to do is you go left, root, right. So you would start left. From there, you then check left, which there's nothing. So you go root, and then right. And then you would head back up to the root, and then do it again for the other side. After that, we've then got post order, which is then you got the left, right, root. So for example, this one here would be left, left, there's nothing, right, which is 8, and then root itself. And there you go, post, in, pre, in, and post order.
This is an example of where you can use a recursive algorithm. Each of these trees can be a subtree. So if we ignore 12, 34 can be a subtree its own. So then we can call a recursive algorithm with the subtree to carry out the traversal on that tree.
You know what? I hate all.
You can tell it